So today we are studying gear hobbing, gear shaping, various gear manufacturing processes. I'll share some video in the beginning that will help you to understand the process. You know various type of gears, that is spur gear, helical gear, bevel gear. The basic principle of gear is it can be cut by rack cutter. So a rack cutter will look like this. Now this is the setup on milling machine. So this is a rack cutter. This is a gear blank on which the teeth are to be generated. Now this gear blank keeps on indexing. This particular accessory is called as the dividing head, and there are various type of indexing methods like simple method, simple indexing, direct indexing, compound indexing, differential indexing, etc. etc. You know that there are two types of teeth profile, that is involute and cycloidal. Involute teeth being common. Now this is the principle of gear shaping. So in gear shaping, this is a cutter which reciprocates up and down. This is a gear blank which rotates. This cutter is also called as the pinion cutter. So the cutter is also rotating and the blank is also rotating. Cutter is moving up and down. At the same time, gear shaping cutter comes inside, and that is what is called as the radial feed. This is how a gear shaping machine will look like. The advantage of gear shaping is that the stroke length can be controlled within plus minus 1 mm. This is gear hobbing. This is a gear blank. This is a hobbing cutter. So again here also gear hobbing. The cutter rotates. The gear blank rotates. Cutter is fed radially inside so that the full depth can be achieved, and it moves down. Now here the disadvantage is that the approach and overshoot should be equal to the half the diameter of the gear hob. So suppose if we have another gear which is just close, and if that has to be cut, then that is not possible, because the stroke length will consist of half the diameter here, half the diameter over here, that is approach half diameter and overrun half diameter. So gear hobbing cannot be performed for cluster gears. Cluster gears. You'll come to know slowly what is cluster gear. Cluster gear means there are you might be knowing gearbox, that is synchronous gearbox or simple gearbox, in which you have gears which are mounted, side by side. There is very less gap between two gears. So in that case, you have to go for gear shaping only. This is another video. This is the basic spur gear, and gears is used for power transmission where the distance between the two shafts is less. This is simple spur gear. The process consists of first you have to cut the blank. The machine which you can see, that is power hacksaw. Generally the bandsaws are used because bandsaw the cutting rate is faster. The blade is moving continuously. Now this blank is mounted on a lathe machine for turning. This operation is called as the facing operation. This is CNC lathe. During the facing, you have to move the tool right little ahead of the center so that there is no pip. This operation is your OD turning. Look at the chips. The chips are breaking. It's not coming continuous. These are called the discontinuous chips. This is your U drill. The advantage of U drill is that you can drill in solid. There is no need of doing center drilling and pilot drilling. The coolant flows inside the drill. This is a drilling machine. So first we have to cut the blank on the hacksaw machine. Then you have to turn the blank. So now this particular is called as the this particular workpiece is called as the gear blank. Now this is ready for the teeth to cut. This is ID identification mark, ID punching. Like we have our data, so every workpiece or every product in workshop it has its own code. Now these are internal teeth. And what is this machine? This machine is gear shaping. The advantage of gear shaping machine is the stroke length can be controlled in plus minus 1 mm. So that's why it can be used for manufacturing cluster gears. This yellow color what you can see, that is coated. Now this is your gear hobbing machine. This is your gear hobbing machine. So if you want to cut a gear which is close or which is adjacent to this blank, so that is not possible in gear hobbing because the hobbing cutter will cut uh, the adjacent gear blank. So that's why gear shaping is always used for manufacturing cluster gears. Cluster gear means 3 to 4 gears which are mounted side by side, or it can be manufactured in solid blank also. Now this is what is measuring. Now this is measuring profile error. Profile error. This measurement is done on CMM machine. Once it confirms, then it is subjected to heat treatment. So all the gear blanks are mounted in a tray, and now look, it is being loaded in the furnace. So this operation is called as the hardening, where the product is heated above recrystallization temperature. It is hold and then cooled. Now this is grinding, external cylindrical grinding. This is your chuck. This is your center. This is how a finished gear will look like. This is helical gear. This is internal spur gear. This is again a pinion shaft, spur type, spur gear. This is called the planetary gears. This is nylon. This material is nylon. Now, gears, if the load is not much, then nylon gears or plastic gears can be used. The advantage of using nylon gear is machining is very economical, or machining is very fast. It is not costly like your metal machining. This is Indian make machine, Manek from north side. Again, this is a gear hobbing machine. This is your gear blank and this is your gear hob, that is cutter. This is called this is key. This is your bushes. This is called as the arbor. This is called as the arbor. Now he is doing the setting. He is setting up the gear hob. The the center line of this and the center line of this should match. Now this is a mandrel on which the gear blank is mounted. So the gear blank is mounted in chuck and center, in between chuck and center as seen in the video. Now slowly he is taking a cut. These are the different gears for transmitting the drive between workpiece and the cutter. So there is a fixed relation between both the velocities. There is a fixed relation between the both the velocities that goes by the formula n1 upon n2 is equal to d2 upon d1, or that is equal to t2 upon t1. So if the gear is big, the RPM will be less. So the RPM and the outside diameter, they are inversely proportional. In case of helical gear cutting, you need to rotate or you need to turn the axis of the cutter at the helix angle. Only difference between the helical gear and spur gear is spur gear the teeth are straight, and in case of helical gear the teeth are inclined at helix angle. Why do you go for helical gear? Because helical gears are less noisy than spur gear in a gearbox, because the engagement is smooth and gradual. The engagement, teeth engagement is smooth and gradual, and therefore they are less noisy. So that's why helical gears are preferred. But spur gears are easy to manufacture than helical gears. Always remember the chip should not be continuous, the chip should be discontinuous. Chip should break. That means your cutting is healthy. This is your rotating chuck. This is a fixed dead center. So there is a fixed gear ratio between the gear hob and the blank, and that goes as per the relation n1 upon n2 is equal to d2 upon d1, or n1 upon n2 is equal to t2 upon t1. Fotter is another reputed gear manufacturing company. Fotter, that is from Germany. So this is a CNC gear hobbing machine. Fotter, that is PFAUTR. You can use soluble oil also. It is not required to mix with water. So this has a better capacity for heat dissipation than your normal oil plus water. Only disadvantage is that everything becomes oily, unlike your oil plus water. Your workpiece, your surroundings, everything gets oily and it becomes slippery. But the cutting wise, it is more efficient. But since the surrounding environment becomes oily, These are less preferred. Now here the gear hobbing cutting is done from bottom to top. That is, it is moving from down to up. Imagine now, suppose if there is one more gear blank which is adjacent, gear hobbing will not be possible. You have to go only for the gear shaping only. Sometimes the full depth is taken, or sometimes the series of cuts are taken. That depends upon the rigidity of the machine, the workpiece material, and the cutter material. If the rigidity is good, workpiece material is not hard, then you can go for one cut. That is, you can finish the gear in one single cut. Otherwise, you can take 3 4 cuts to finish a gear teeth. This is how a finished spur gear will look like. This is your gear hobbing cutter. That yellowish color is nothing but the coating of titanium carbide that improves the life of the cutter. Now this is another operation that is called as the gear shaving. And remember, gear shaving is not gear generating operation. It is not gear cutting operation. It is for finishing the gear teeth. Remember, it is gear shaving is for finishing the gear teeth. It cannot generate the gear teeth. This is the shaving cutter, gear shaving cutter. The workpiece is mounted here between center and it is not positively driven. Remember, in gear shaving, the workpiece is not positively driven. It rotates because the cutter rotates. Remember, that is the difference between hobbing and shaving. The workpiece will rotate once the cutter rotates. Okay, so it is not positively driven. So gear shaving operation is done to correct some profile errors and to offer excellent surface finish. So these were some videos. These are some pics of machines. Gear grinding. What do you mean by gear grinding? Gear teeth grinding. It's not gear OD or ID grinding or phase grinding. Gear teeth grinding. That is, once the gear teeth are hardened, they get oxidized. They also get distorted. So in order to remove that scales and distortion, gear teeth grinding is done. So that is a costly process, gear teeth grinding. And this is how a gear teeth grinding machine will look like. SBP 400 CNC means the maximum diameter of the gear which the machine can accommodate is 400 millimeter. This is a bigger machine, SBP 800. So the gears up to 800 millimeter diameter can be ground. This is still bigger, 1.25 meter or 1250 millimeter dia. These are the pics of gear hobbing machine. SF stands for the series. 500, this number stands for the diameter. So you have CNC gear teeth grinding. See, you have to always say gear teeth grinding, not gear grinding. Gear grinding means OD grinding, ID grinding, phase grinding. Gear teeth grinding means only teeth grinding. So both these machines are separate. Gear grinding, that is OD and ID grinding and phase grinding, is done on the normal cylindrical grinding machines, whereas teeth grinding is done on gear teeth grinding machine. Then you have gear shaping machine and you have gear shaving machine. So gear shaping machine is again a gear teeth cutting machine. Gear shaving is for finishing the teeth. This is a picture of gear shaping machine. This is again another model of gear shaping machine. This is SS250 CNC gear shaving machine. This is used for shaving gear teeth, that is for finishing. Remember the basic difference between gear shaving is that in gear shaving machine the workpiece is not rotated positively. Rotated positively का मतलब है the workpiece is not coupled to the motor directly. Workpiece rotates when the shaving cutter is engaged. So shaving cutter is positively driven, and because of the shaving cutter, because of the rotation of the shaving cutter, the workpiece will rotate. You have gear teeth honing machines also, gear teeth honing, in which abrasive powder is fed between two teeths, or lapping powder is fed between two teeths. So there is one master gear and another is your workpiece. So the master gear is having hardness more than the workpiece. So because of that hardness and lapping powder, it finishes the gear to be finished. Again, normally nobody goes for the gear honing machine because again gear honing machine is very costly, and maintenance point of view it is complex. So generally all gears are, after hobbing or after shaping, they are normally shaved only. So gear shaving is used for mass production and it is economical also, it is cheap also. Even gear teeth grinding also nobody does. Gear teeth grinding, gear teeth honing, gear teeth lapping, these are all, becoming obsolete. These processes are becoming obsolete. Earlier, yes, gear teeth lapping, gear teeth grinding, these machines were there. But slowly, slowly, the technology, gear teeth shaving was developed in such a way that it was able to finish the component to the desired accuracy. Again, I have some pictures here, so I'll show you one by one. These are the different motions or the mechanisms of gear teeth machine. Like your workpiece is mounted here, which can rotate. Your cutter can rotate. Then this table will move in this x direction. This is your y direction, and this is your z direction. In case of gear teeth grinding, the grinding wheel has to be shaped as per the profile, and that's why it is very expensive, because you have to continuously do the regrinding after every two pieces or every three pieces. This dressing has to be done, dressing of the grinding wheel. So this is a abrasive grinding wheel which is mounted on the spindle, then this is a gear which is to be finished, and the profile of the abrasive wheel should correspond exactly to the profile of the gear teeth. And you know, the abrasives, they wears very fast, so every 2 or every 3 gears you need to do the dressing, and this dressing has to be done again with the help of a CNC dresser, diamond dresser. Okay, so hardly you get 1 or 2 gear in one dressing of the grinding wheel. So like suppose there are say 40 teeth gear, so in one dressing can give you almost 80 or 120 teeth of grinding, that's all. Plus it is slow also, and it is doing one teeth at a time, and that's why it is slow. This is a picture of gear hobbing. So this yellowish nature, it is because of the titanium carbide coating. If it is titanium nitride, it look grayish. Both titanium carbide as well as titanium nitride coatings are popular. This is the principle of gear teeth generating. That is, you have a gear blank which is rotating. You have a rack type cutter which reciprocates as well as it moves. So this is gear blank. This is gear blank which is mounted on a spindle. A spindle is called as the work spindle. This is the picture of gear shaping machine. So in gear shaping machine now, this is the cutter which keeps rotating. This will reciprocate up and down. And this is a gear blank which is rotating. And there is one more motion, that is radial feed, because the cutter has to go till full depth, and that's why that radial feed is also required. As I told, either you can take full depth at a time, or you can take series of cut. Like suppose if the depth of the gear tooth is say 3 mm, either you can go 3 mm in one shot, or you can take 4 5 cuts, maybe point 0.7 point 0.7 point 0.7, like that. And the stroke of the gear shaping machine can be controlled plus minus 1 mm. Like say this thickness is say 25, this width of the gear blank is 25 mm. You can start gear shaping just above, that is approach can be taken as 1 mm, and overrun or overshoot can be taken as 1 mm. And if you can see carefully, there is a relief here. So you have a relief here, this is a relief, so that the back portion of the teeth is not rubbed against the gear blank. So this is the principle of gear shaping. Your blank is rotating, your cutter is rotating, cutter is moving up and down, and at the same time there is a feed that is called as the radial feed. So the cutter goes inside the gear blank. A typical gear hob will look like this. These are the teeth, and this is a flute. The, generally, it is straight flute. The function of the flute is to guide the chips. The most important parameter in gear is module. So once if you know the module, then entire kundali of the gear can be found out. And remember, if you want to cut a 4 module gear, then you should have a cutter corresponding to or exactly of 4 module. The module of the cutter and the module of the workpiece should be same. The diameters, width, it can differ, but module should be same. Module of the gear teeth cutter as well as module of the workpiece should be same. This is a picture for gear hobbing. That is, your gear blank is rotating this, your hobbing cutter is also rotating, okay, and the feed. So you are starting, say initially your gear hob cutter will be over here, and then that is called the approach, and then you have overshoot. So in overshoot your cutter will go like this. So if this is 100 mm, if you want to calculate the machining time, then you have to take half the diameter, that is of the cutter, over here in overshoot, and half the diameter in approach. So if this is 100 mm and if the hob diameter is say 50 mm, that means you have to take this 25 and this 25. So 150 plus you have to take approach. Approach, you cannot directly dash the cutter here. So approach of 2 mm and overshoot, that is overrun of 2 mm. So the total length, machining length will be 100 plus 25, 25, that is 50, 150 plus 2 and 2. So that is 4. So it will be 154. This is a diagram of gear teeth honing, but now becoming obsolete. These are the different motions in gear teeth honing. Gear teeth can be lapped also. So for that there are lapping machines. So the principle of lapping is, there is a master gear and there is a gear which is to be lapped, and both are rotating, and in between the lapping paste is fed, and because of the lapping paste the tolerances and the finish are obtained. This is what the rack cutting principle is. This corresponds to the rack, and this is your workpiece. This is a photograph of shaving machine, gear teeth shaving machine. The blank is mounted between this center, and this is the shaving cutter which does the finishing operation. So shaving cutter will look like this. So it has gashes across the teeth. These are called as the gashes. It has gashes or serration across the teeth. This is a gear shaving cutter, and this is a finishing operation. Okay, so that was about videos and some photographs. So what is a gear? So you all of you know that gear is used for transmitting the power. And what are the different methods of manufacturing? Gear can be molded, that is, it can be injection molded. Gears can be cut by milling machine, or it can be cut by water jet machine also. Then this is the principle of gear shaping. So it is the process of gear tooth generation by cutting them by a multi-point cutting tool. Remember, there is one more gear that is called as the worm and worm wheel. So this worm and worm wheel cannot be produced by your gear hobbing or by gear shaping process. So for that worm and worm wheel, you have separate manufacturing process. Gear hobbing is comparatively faster than the gear shaping. Different gear finishing and super finishing processes are gear shaving, that is gear teeth shaving, gear teeth grinding, gear teeth lapping, and gear teeth honing. Gear teeth shaving is the most simplest and economical process because it gives very good surface finish. It eliminates the problem of tooth and load correction. If there are any error in helix angle or tooth profile, that can be corrected. Of course, up to some level, up to some smaller level, up to zero point 0.1 or 0.15 maximum millimeter, up to zero point 0.1 or 0.15 millimeter deviation or corrections can be done in gear teeth shaving, and that's why gear teeth shaving is preferred. No doubt your gear teeth grinding gives better accuracy, but and better correction of geometrical accuracy, but the disadvantage is that it is very slow process. The capacity, that's why the production capacity is less, and grinding wheels are very expensive, and the grinding wheels need to be dressed also. In gear teeth lapping, again you get very good accuracy, but the material removal rate is very less, and therefore it is slow process, and you get good refinement of the surface finish. Again, you have gear teeth honing here. So the advantage if gear teeth honing is it will remove some surface defects or surface impurities. It will remove the nicks and the burrs marks from the surfaces. It will correct some distortions. Okay, very minor. That is maybe up to zero point 0.05. Then heat generated is very low in case of gear teeth honing. But remember, gear teeth honing, gear teeth lapping, gear teeth grinding are almost now obsolete unless very high degree of discipline in machining is required, then only we go for those machines. Otherwise, your gear teeth shaving is commonly used for finishing the gear teeth. Now these are some notes which will be helpful for writing down answers. What are the different types of hobbing? So this has been taken from Hajra Chowdhury. So types of the hobbing are axial hobbing, then radial hobbing, and third is tangential hobbing. So these diagrams are easy and you can draw it comfortably. So this is your climb hobbing. So in climb hobbing, see how the feed is. The feed is from down to up. Axial feed is. This is a blank which is rotating, gear blank. This is a hob which is rotating, and the hob cutter, that is hob, is fed inside. It has taken full depth of cut and it moves from down to up. You have seen in one of the videos. So that is what is called the climb hobbing. And if the hob cutter, if it moves from up, from top to down, then that is your conventional hobbing. The direction of rotation of gear blank and hob, that remains the same. And this is your tangential hobbing. So in tangential hobbing, the hob moves tangent to the gear blank. So this is tangential hobbing, in which case the hob is moving tangentially. And in case of radial hobbing is something like your plunge cutting. So in radial hobbing, the hob is fed in the workpiece. The hob is fed in the workpiece in radial hobbing. Bevel gear generators are difficult to produce, and they are produced by the machines which are called as the bevel gear generator. Of course, the principle of cutting remains same. You have a cutter, then a gear blank. So you have a cutting tool, a single point cutting tool. This is done on milling machine. Then the gear blank is adjusted or is loaded at an angle, and this angle is called as the root angle. This angle is called the root angle. All of you are aware that bevel gears are used for transmitting the power in 90 degree. That is of when the two axes are intersecting. It need not be 90 degree. It can be any angle. Hmm. If the two axes are intersecting, then you have to go for bevel gears. Spur gears and helical gears are used only if the axes are parallel. If the axes are parallel. So now here the gear blank is loaded at an angle in such a way that this teeth, axis of this every teeth, it comes straight vertical, so that now this tool is moving vertically up and it is cutting the teeth. Once this one teeth cutting is done, then it is indexed and next teeth is cut. Then third teeth, then fourth teeth, then fifth teeth, like that. Okay, this is how indexing is done, and the cutting of bevel teeth are carried out. But this is a slow process. We see milling process. This is like a milling process. Milling process is slow. So we have to go for processes like your gear teeth generating processes. And that is done on bevel gear generator. Gleason. Gleason is the repeated bevel gear machine manufacturer. Gleason. So it is also called as the Gleason bevel gear generator. Then these are your gear shaping cutting techniques. Like here it is shown that the rack is used for cutting the teeth. Like this rack is moved up and down, your blank is rotating, and your rack is feeding inside. So this is a basic principle of gear teeth cutting. Most of the shaping machine, they have this type of mechanism. That is, your blank is rotating as well as your cutter is rotating. The cutter is going up and down, and the cutter is fed radially. Okay, in order to complete the depth of cut. It can also do, it can take series of cut like say 0.5 mm, 1 mm. Okay, so first it goes 0.5, then it rotates all the way. The blank also rotates. And once the 0.5 cutting is done, then it goes another 0.5, then another 0.5. Like that, it finishes the entire depth of cut. This is what internal mechanism of the gear shaping cutter. Like you have a gear blank here. This what you can see. This you have. This is what is nothing but the teeth. This is the gear shaping cutter which reciprocates, and there is a fixed motion. So there is a fixed rotational motion between your gear shaping cutter, and gear blank. So that is what that fixed motion is. That is this black things what you can see. This black thing. So they are connected to each other through change gears, and there is a definite ratio between this and this. So accordingly, these change gears are calculated, and you must have seen that Manek Lal ka, that Sardarji, he was changing some gears. That is nothing but your change gears. So the mechanism is the blank is rotating, gear shaping cutter is rotating, gear shaping cutter reciprocates up and down, as well as it moves inside radially. That is called the radial feed. So this diagram you can draw to explain gear shaping phenomenon. The advantage is that it is used for cutting cluster gear, for which gear hobbing cannot be used. It can be used for cutting the helical gear also, gear shaping. So in helical gear, as I told, the cutter has to be inclined at helix angles. So that was about gear hobbing and shaping. So if you have any doubt, please ask. And then next class we will start with the uh, reciprocating machine and thread manufacturing. Thread manufacturing is again very simple, or we'll start with the thread manufacturing. I'll show one video of thread rolling process, how the threads are rolled. This thread rolling machine, this process is used for mass production. That is, if the quantity is very high, then we go for thread rolling. So you have a blank here. This is a blank, or this is a workpiece, and these are the two rolls. These rolls confirm the pitch of the thread. See, now suppose if I say M10 by 1, so M10 by 1, M stands for metric, 10 stands for outside diameter, and 1.5 is nothing but the pitch. So the pitch of this thread rolls, or it is also called as the thread rolling dies, should be 1.5. The diameter can be bigger, there is no problem, but the pitch should be 1.5. Pitch should be same. So the various motions here is your workpiece is rotating, then your thread rolling dies they are rotating. One die remain fixed and another die penetrates inside. Another die penetrates inside, and it takes the full cut. It takes the full cut in order to generate the thread profile. Advantage of thread rolling is it improves the tensile strength, it improves the fitting strength. And very one thing that you have to remember, that in case of thread rolling, the diameter of the component should be equal to the pitch diameter. Should see, this is how if it is cut thread, that means cut thread means threads which are done on the lathe machine, and if it is rolled thread, see how the grain direction is. The most important thing what you have to remember in thread rolling is, most important thing is in thread rolling is that the diameter of the blank should be equal to the pitch diameter. Diameter of the blank should be equal to the pitch should be equal to the pitch diameter. Where it is gone, here, here it is. So that was your thread rolling. Let me see whether I have no. So a short note can be asked on thread rolling. This is again taken from your Hajra and Chowdhury thread rolling. So here you can use these diagrams, like you have these two rolls, thread rolls. Then this is your round workpiece, which is kept on a support. This is your support, and this is your round job, and these are called the dies. So dies are rotating. Suppose if this is rotating in, say, anti-clockwise, this will rotate clockwise. Okay, and again this will rotate anti-clockwise. So these both the directions will be same. Okay. So there are various processes where are techniques of thread rolling. Like you have cylindrical die machines. What the video which I showed, that is cylindrical die machine, and you have reciprocating flat die machines also. So in reciprocating flat die machines, your die will reciprocate, and this is your thread chasing. Thread chasing का मतलब है the thread cutting which is done on normal lathe machine. That is what is called as the thread chasing. Again, this is taken from Hazra and Chowdhury. So thread manufacturing can be done by casting, thread chasing. Casting matlab your normal casting process, but there the threads will be very rough. Then thread chasing is done on lathe machine. Thread rolling you have separate machine, dedicated machine. Then die thread and tapping, that is most of the plumbers they use, the dies for external thread cutting. Then tapping, that is manually done with the help of the taps. Then there is another process called the thread milling and thread grinding. So thread milling and thread grinding, these are special processes which are used in mass production. Again, thread grinding is very costly process, and it is becoming obsolete only when you have very high accuracy. So that time only we use this thread grinding. Okay, so I will touch this in the next class because it's already 6 minutes past. Only what you have to remember here, that in case of lathe machines, the tool has to be set exactly in the center, and the tool should correspond to the thread profile. So there is a template that is for the gauge. So as per the gauge, your tool has to be ground, and it has to be set at the center line. And there is a thread dial which is used for picking up the threads, picking up the threads. So it's a very, thread rolling is important in thread manufacturing. And I will share some links for thread rolling, for gear hobbing and gear shaping, because videos will be difficult to upload. So you can go through these links. Okay, like this is a photograph of thread rolling. This you are aware, that is threads are, you have a major diameter, then you have minor diameter, and then pitch diameter. So remember, in case of thread rolling, the diameter of the blank should be pitch diameter, whereas in case of lathe or any other thread cutting process, the diameter of the blank corresponds to the outside diameter, that is major diameter. Like suppose if the M10 by 1, so if I have to cut it on the lathe machine, the outside diameter should be 10. But if I have to cut it by thread rolling process, then it will not be 10. It will correspond to the pitch diameter, which will be around 9.25. Because in thread rolling, the material comes out. Okay, material comes out. The grain comes out. So once the thread rolling is done, the outside diameter will be 10. It will not be 9.25. But initially, before thread rolling, the diameter should be equal to the pitch diameter. Okay. If you have any doubt, please ask. Thank you.